Hi, I'm Greg Thompson, and I'm directing The King and I here at Ocala Civic Theater. So we're doing The King and I, which of course started out based on a novel about Anna Leon Owens and her travels in Siam. Boy, it's a great story because it's just been around so long and been done so many ways. So of course, the original. It was also a movie in the early 50s with Rex Harrison as the king of Siam, which is a really interesting idea. But that movie was actually very successful, and that led to a collaboration of Rodgers and Hammerstein. That was the first piece they were actually approached and asked to write. It was commissioned, as opposed to they got this idea and sort of created it. And it fell first to Gertrude Lawrence, and everybody thought this is going to be a great vehicle for her. And they brought in a guy that no one had ever heard of because they couldn't cast the lead role. Legend is that Yul Brynner walked in the door, sat down cross-legged with a guitar, hit a big chord, and made this horrible noise, and they looked at each other and went, "That's it. That's the King of Siam." So I would love to have heard whatever the sound was that no one could really describe that Yul Brynner made. It was interesting too that people thought that the show would be about Anna, since it was built on the book about Anna. And if you look at the original posters, you see starring Gertrude Lawrence, and then there are 4 people way about midways down, and he's the last name. It was a real toss-up because the critics thought that the show was supposed to be about Anna, but he was so powerful in this role of the king that it was a real toss-up. And the show then became Yul Brynner's show. He kind of disappeared for a little while, did some other movies, was actually a very prolific television director, which a lot of people don't realize, that there was about 20 years there in his career that he was directing television, and then did that really wonderful, weird thing with the silver contact lenses, Westworld, which some people will remember that movie, which was actually kind of fun, a guilty pleasure kind of film, and came back and did it in revival a couple times. The last time he died in 1985 while the show was running. It wasn't unexpected, but it certainly threw a monkey wrench into things. I think it's cool that this story has been told so many times throughout history, and we just told it again, in my opinion, and it really hit me. If I hadn't been doing The King and I when it happened, when the news happened that Osama bin Laden had been shot, it's the same story. It's still cultures clashing. It's still countries going into other countries and trying to work the thing out, and the religious ideas are not the same, and their values are not the same, and hopefully learning from each other. But when you stop and think, my God, this was 1863, have we really learned a lot? Because we have tried this over and over and over, and it hit me. I thought, God, it's the same story. We just keep telling this story over and over. But I'm curious how much we're really learning, sadly. It just keeps replaying. So if you notice, everything is playing far downstage, almost giving it the feel of a studio musical because it's condensed and pushed forward, but it's a great big show. And I like that idea because I think that The King and I is a very intimate story. I think it's easy to think of, well, it's Rodgers and Hammerstein, it's a great big musical, and it is, but the story is very personal, I think, and very intimate. I love it myself because Anna and the King are not an ingenue love story. It's a very mature love. It's about respect. And there's that neat moment of, God, if he'd lived, would they have fallen in love? It's a very mature sort of love that's the centerpiece of this show. And I think that's unusual in a musical and very powerful. So my whole thing with this has been to really focus on that and to get to that, the real meat of the story, even though it's a musical. And I think that's going to come through. I think the cast has done a nice job with it. It's been a lot of fun, and I hope everybody comes and sees it. I think they'll love the show, and I hope they'll tell their friends. And just in general, and I say it every time I'm here, it is true. It is not that common that towns, especially nowadays, have a community theater this good. That is a fact. So I would hope that everyone would cherish it and treat it like the asset that it is. So, because I think it's important, and I think it's, they're very fortunate. You know, Ocala's very fortunate to have this place. So enjoy the show, come back, bring your friends, and it's not too late to buy season tickets for next year.